Is that a straight pipe bull hauler? Oh, it couldn't be. Is it 2 in a row? Of course it is. This is a 1964 Chevy K20. That part makes sense. What I'm struggling with is it's not all rotted out, which means it definitely ain't from around here. Does have a problem though with the brakes. There are none. The pedal just goes right to the floor. Poor guy who owns it, he's been struggling with it for a while. He replaced some parts, I loaned him some tools. He hasn't made any progress. It's actually worse now than when he started. So in the interest of pedestrian safety, he brought it to me. Yeah, I love ancient drum brakes. Let's get to it. Do you think this belongs here, or has someone made a terrible mistake?
Well, I don't feel like it's from Illinois.
That's what I was just saying. Definitely not from around here, right, Max?
I also don't feel like it's the original paint job.
No, it's not too bad. Max isn't freaking out. There must not be any rodents inside.
I haven't been out here since your spill.
Oh, yeah, we got it mostly cleaned up. What do you think? We ought to get one of these.
I don't know, this chrome work needs some.
Oh, you're just nitpicking. She's pretty mint.
From a distance.
That's all that matters. 64 K20, so it's 4-wheel drive. Got some big old 35 meats on her. 4-speed.
Hey, don't ding that door.
Yeah, it's got the pretty deluxe interior. I think it's got a tack. I love the big lever style handbrake there. Floors are solid.
Oh,
Seat looks good.
Thing.
Yeah, wooden bed floor.
Is this original?
I don't know. Ask Mortsky. I'm not a Chevy guy. I think so.
I'll call him up.
All right.
See what he has to say.
I think the box might be a little bit out of alignment.
Ah, now who's nitpicking?
Yeah, this thing's sweet. You'd look good in that.
Does the radio work?
I don't know.
Can I go push buttons?
If it does, it's going to be AM only.
What do all those dash buttons do?
I don't know. Cool Chevy stuff, I guess.
Stop recording so I can call Mortsky.
Okay. All right, under the hood we got supposedly a 283. It's been bored 30 over.
What is this? Why? Why? So many little kid toys in here. Why?
Oh, somebody's put power brakes, at least a power brake master cylinder on it. That's probably where our issues lie. Looks like they tweaked that line pretty good. Oh, we definitely got some fluid leaking. It's melted the paint off the booster, so. Huh. What a cool old truck. Well, I don't know exactly what the story is here. I'm pretty sure this truck did not come from the factory with power brakes. So somebody has grafted this power brake booster on. Oh, what is going on here? It's spilling brake fluid all over the floor, I know that, so something's going on. Yeah, way over full. Now, he said he bench bled the master cylinder, and I gave him the stuff to do it. And not that I don't trust him, I don't trust anybody. So I think we're going to try to do that first and just verify for ourselves. Suck some of this fluid out of here. Seems like to me the newer master cylinders, they'll bleed themselves out pretty quickly, but these old ones can be a real pain. So you can buy for real bench bleeding kits. They come with a bunch of plastic adapters and clips and hoses. I just kind of have my own stuff that I've made up over the years. Every time I replace brake lines to a master cylinder and I find a new fitting that I don't have, I just chop off the line and then slip a piece of hose over it, and you got yourself a custom made bench bleeding adapter. Just because I don't feel like getting the bath and brake fluid, we'll throw a quick zip tie on it. So the idea is pretty simple. We just pump the master cylinder and the fluid pumps back up into the reservoir, and we do that until there are no more bubbles in the hoses. Well, we're getting closer. Alright, we're doing pretty good. I'm going to leave it for a minute, let some of the air bubbles kind of settle out, and then we'll try again. Okay, while we're letting the air bubbles settle out of that master cylinder, we need to try to redo this front brake line. Somebody just put a single flare on it instead of an inverted flare. But it sounds like somebody's here, so I gotta go take care of that. So yeah, that's just a single flare. That's not how it's supposed to be. A lot of people don't know that. That's all right, I think we can save it. I put some new O-rings in the pump section of this tool. They're a little too tight. Works fine in the summer, but now that it's a little colder, the fluid's a little bit stiffer. It's a two-handed operation, pretty much. I should get a new one, I guess. SURR makes a pretty sweet looking one. This old girl's got a lot of miles on it. I actually wore out the 3/16 and the 1/4 inch die. That should work. Not a big fan of this. You have to have, some way for the lines to flex because the cab, can move slightly in relation to the frame. Typically they have a coil on both lines. This is a little hokey. Alright, we're going to call that good enough. This bench bleeding system isn't ideal. The best way to do it would be to have a really small diameter tube that was as short as possible, because the master cylinder only pumps so much fluid each time you stroke the pedal. The less tube there is, the less problems you're going to have. That should gravity bleed. Should get rid of any of the big air bubbles in the lines. I guess that's the best we're gonna do. I don't think that cap's actually sealing. The lip hits the top of the master cylinder. So we may have to tweak that just a bit. Anyway, let's move on. I think the brakes are way out of adjustment. So let's check that. Well, I suspect eventually we're going to end up replacing the brake shoes and turning the drums, but I want to try adjusting them just to see if we can get them to work. Let's see which way. They're way out. Okay, that's what we want. So we had that scratching sound before. I don't know what that is, a spring or something. But now you can just hear the shoes starting to drag. That's better. Alright, let's go with that for now. Pretty much the same strategy on all four corners. Okay, I think I got them all. They were pretty far out. So there's various thoughts and strategies on how to adjust drum brakes. Some guys like to tighten them until you can't turn the wheel and then back them off a certain amount. I don't know. I've always done this method where you just tighten them until you can just hear them drag. Theoretically, they're supposed to adjust themselves, but that never works. So I don't know, somebody's been in here. These are pretty new parking brake cables. I see the remnants of some fairly new looking hardware. So I don't know if they just adjusted them the wrong way or they didn't set them up initially or what the deal is. Anyway, let's try to bleed the actual brakes. Boy, there's a ton of weights on those wheels. Anyway, try to bleed them real quick and just see if we can get the functionality back. These brakes were never spectacular, you know, even when they were new. There's a reason we don't use four-wheel drum brakes anymore. I don't know if my pressure bleeder is going to work. Maybe if I do one side at a time, because this is I made this adapter, but it's for the newer style master cylinders where they share a single reservoir. Okay, set the pressure at something real low. Two PSI. We better hurry up. The old Cyclops is just about dead. Nothing yet. I'm gonna go use my pedal presser. Alright, I had to crank the pressure up, but it seems to be working now. Is it a straight pipe bore hauler? Is there any other kind? Alright, I rolled it outside. hosed off some of the brake fluid. I also did some filing on the master cylinder, so the cap seems to actually fit and sort of seal. The good news is it seems to have brakes. The bad news is there's lots of other problems. The parking brake doesn't work at all. The spark plug wires, seems like there was 0 F's given on routing those. Most of them are laying over top of the exhaust manifold. I think it's stuck in 4-wheel drive. At least I can't get it to go into 2-wheel drive. Those engine mounts look pretty sad. Anyway, let's pull it back in, see if we can get the parking brake to work, maybe do a quick look over. Yeah, there's some scary brackets. We don't want to get too invested in this thing. I mean, the more I look, the more I don't like what I see. It's always fun to find the little quirks and eccentricities of whoever builds these projects. This guy, he's got a thing about springs. Check out these throttle return springs. So the top one's way overstretched, just looped through that big hole. The bottom one, it's not really doing anything. Why they couldn't put them on 2 separate holes or buy the for real ones that go inside each other, I don't know. But the fun doesn't stop there. We've got this random spring on the front of the transfer case shift linkage. Then another random spring on the transfer case shift linkage. And then probably my favorite is the screen door spring on the parking brake lever with this bespoke aluminum linkage. So this is pretty much all wrong. I think the arm might be correct, but this cable, like I think it's just got a loom clamp around the outside sheath of the cable, which isn't going to work. You see it's already maxed out on adjustment. So yeah, let's see if we can fix that. We've got some weirdness going on with the drive shafts. That one seems to be right, but aren't the other two installed backwards? Like normally the slip yoke is at the transfer case. Oh, that's cute. Brake flex hose right on the exhaust pipe. Yeah, we might want to fix that. Yeah, that is indeed what they did. So they just wrapped a loom clamp around the outside sheath of that parking brake cable. I don't know how they ever thought that was going to work. You know, as soon as it slips up the sheath, you have no more parking brake. It needs something that sockets into this formed end of the cable sheath. So I don't know what it originally had. We're going to have to formicate some kind of a bracket. So let me ponder that for a minute. Yeah, what a mess. It's not stuck in 4-wheel drive though, just one of the hubs was locked. So we're okay there, other than there's quite a bit of run out on that drive shaft. So they have both parking brake cables coming to a single pivot point, and you can't do that. There has to be some kind of an equalizer because you never get the same amount of slack on both parking brake cables. So even if we rigged this up so that it would work the way that it was when they built it, it's only going to have a parking brake on one wheel. There's got to be some kind of a, yeah, like I said, an equalizer or something that we're missing. But I'm seeing a whole lot of other problems that are a lot more concerning. Check out this input shaft for the rear axle. I think we lost our preload. The cab corners, floors, maybe part of the cross members have all been replaced. Yeah, she's not as rust-free as we were led to believe. Somebody slapped some paint on this thing and covered up some big problems, but that's not the worst thing I've found. Check out this retaining clip here in this U-joint. That's not good, but it gets worse. Yeah. Let me roll this around. See that retaining clip? It's not even trying, but it gets worse than that. Take a look at that yoke. This one right here. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? That yoke is spread way apart, like a lot. Looks like that bolt's not tight. Come on, cable, get out of my way. Yeah, you can see it where see the U-joint right here? That seal should be right down against that shoulder. Same thing on the bottom side. See how the seal's actually peeled up? It's because that yoke is spread. I don't know, we'll make a phone call, I guess, and see what he wants to do. This thing is a mess. And I'm not sure what to do about it. I mean, you can't just run down to AutoZone and pick up an output shaft yoke for a 64 K20. I tried the driveline shop. They weren't much help. I don't think we'd find anything in a junkyard, at least not around here. I did find one on eBay, but I don't know how long it would take us to get that. So I'm thinking we're gonna have to redneck engineer our way out of this. I mean, that's how we got into this mess. So, seems only fitting. I'm wondering if we can just put that yoke in the press and squeeze her back to shape. I mean, that's about where it needs to be, but it's gonna spring back. I don't want to break it. Pretty close. All right. Well, gotta go a little further. That's pretty darn good. I bet that would work. It's bent more on this side, it seems like. I don't want to toot my own horn, but if you didn't know that thing was bent, there's no way you could tell. That looks good. Really good. U-joint fits in there nice and tight. I think we're gonna get away with this. I got a couple new U-joints. Let's put this thing back together. If straightening that yoke didn't get you wound up, just wait. We've got to install some U-joints. Always a controversial topic. I'm telling you, Jesus Christ himself could not install a U-joint in such a way that he would not draw at least some ire from the comment section of YouTube. I've given up. If I use a press, they tell me I should use a clamp. If I use a clamp, they tell me I should use a vise. If I use a vise, they tell me to use a hammer. If I use a hammer, they tell me to use a ball joint press. I'm going to do it how I feel like it. Also, the new thing, I was always taught to line up the grease zerks. The grease zerks need to face towards the inside so you can access them. The new thing now is that people want me to put the grease zerk so that it's in compression, so that the torque of the drive shaft compresses the drilled out section where the grease zerk is. I've never heard of that. Never seen that mentioned in any manufacturer's specification. Also, if you line up the grease zerks, that's not going to work. If you put that one in compression, that one's going to be in tension. The only way you could do it is if you had them like that. And I'm not doing that. That's stupid. So if that makes you feel better, go ahead and do it. I'm pretty sure the U-joint doesn't care. So let's get to it here. The most important thing is that you don't drop a roller down in the bottom of this cap and then put it back together and have the U-joint separated like that. This time we want to hold the cross so that it's centered between the two caps so that the bearings can't fall out of the top or the bottom. All right, let's go to the vise. That one's pretty tight. Oh, Max just missed a mouse. He's not very happy about it. Under the tire balancer. Little suckers are everywhere this year. Alright. A little bit of RTV on the inside and the outside of that nut, or that washer, sorry. Probably won't work, but it'll make me feel better. Okay, we'll go ahead and torque that to factory spec. I saw him, pup. You weren't fast enough. Yeah, I don't think he's going to come back out, buddy. Got to scrounge up another fine thread 5/16 nut. One of these was missing a nut. Man, come on. I think that'll work just dandy. Yeah. Alright, this is what I came up with for the parking brake. I made this little bracket, which you guys can't see because it's black and it's dark. But it's going to slip over the end of the parking brake cable. Like so. And then the cable goes, there we go. And then I drilled a couple of holes in the cross member. I don't know what it had originally. I can't find any pictures. Ortsky's got one of these trucks, but his has no remnants of the original parking brake either, so who knows? Just gotta do the best that we can. All right. Max does not like wind or mice. Do you, pup? All right, I am out of time on this project, so we're gonna have to call it quits. There's plenty more we could do and probably will do at some point, but I gotta move on to some other stuff. I put the parking brake back together. It should be functional now. So this is the other end of that bracket that we made. This is going to have to stay like it is for right now. I don't know how it's supposed to be. I found some pictures online where there's kind of a linkage that comes back, and then there's a crossbar, and each of these cables hooks up to the end of the crossbar. Then the spring goes from the middle back to the cross member. I don't have any of those pieces. I don't know what they, what the dimensions are, or if we could even obtain them or make them. Plus, we'd have to shorten the parking brake cables. So it's going to have to stay like it is for right now. I'll adjust them, try to get the tension even, and that's the best we can do at this point in time. As far as the drive shaft, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll ask him, but I don't think we're going to even bother to buy that used yoke off of eBay. I think our repair is just fine. We'll test drive it and make sure. But he's talking about doing all kinds of stuff, possibly swapping out the transmission to a newer style transmission that has overdrive, and or swapping out the axles. This has 456 gears, and even with those big 35-inch tires, it just crawls. So he wants a higher ratio. This axle in front is a Dana 44. We can get pretty much any part we want for that. The problem is in the rear. This is an Eaton axle. Can't remember the code, but essentially there's no parts available for these. You can switch to a 411 gear, which was also offered in this truck, but that's really not going to help you. He needs to get down like, I don't know, 355 or something like that to get this thing, highway drivable. Just things aren't the same as they were back in 1964. She was made for pulling stumps, not for commuting. Yeah, okay. I'm going to tie up that brake hose so it's not on the exhaust. And then, yeah, we'll set her down, take her for a drive, do some, is that shock loose? I gotta stop looking around because we have to move on. What do you say, pup? Yeah. Now the old K20 just doesn't want to leave. Got a couple of new problems. The battery was dead this morning when I went to pull it inside. It's got some kind of a parasitic draw. This is a brand new battery. Alternator charges just fine, but yeah, 141 milliamps. That's too much. Also, it's leaking. Looks like coolant to me. So I don't know, is that thermostat gasket maybe? It's got the Mortsky approved flexi hose here. Let's see. Oh, well, there's your problem. Okay. Well, tighten the clamps a little bit. Maybe we'll get off easy. Let's see, can we turn it? This is the beauty of the flexi hose. Universal. All right, tighten this one. Fixed. Check out this lower radiator hose. Looks pretty good. It's almost like Mortsky was right. You can't trust a flexi hose. Well, I haven't found anything yet that would cause a parasitic draw, but it seems to have gone down to 10 milliamps all on its own. I'm gonna turn the key back on, we'll see if it comes back. And it did not come back. Cool. Truck fixed itself. I'm out of time to mess with it. We're gonna put it back together. Ship it out the door. See what happens. Like I said, he wants to change the axle ratios. So it'll probably be back for that. Although he wants to drive it in the winter. So there may not be much of it left by the time we get it. Well, the parking brake seems to work. At least on one wheel. Let's go for a ride. Well, the good news is The brakes work. The bad news is that's the only good news. This thing sounds horrible. Tires. I don't think the heat works at all. The floor is wet over on the passenger side. I wonder if the heater core is leaking. It's idling way too high. I can feel wind just blowing in on the floor. Must be a big hole in the firewall somewhere. But there's something wrong in the driveline. It's howling pretty bad. I don't know if it's that pinion gear on the rear axle or transfer case. Something not right. That is not good. It's not too bad just cruising. You can live with it. Okay. Made it back. The heat does work, but the blower motor resistor must be goofed up because it only has high and off. Yeah, the idle's definitely too high. But I mean, better than it was. At least you can stop it. I think there's definitely an issue with that rear axle. Well, we know there's an issue with the rear axle. The pinion shaft is loose. So probably the pinion bearings are out of it. Might have chewed up the gears too, I don't know. It doesn't matter, I don't think, because if he wants to change the ratio, we're going to be swapping axles anyway. Mortsky says it's super easy, which means it's probably borderline impossible. Guess we'll see. Brakes are good though.